at a certain point go to the audience too. But so one thing I would like to do is say, okay, I agree, at least in certain aspects, we have seen a deterioration and erosion in the American sense of life. And so then what is the answer? Rand said, and I tend to agree, that we need to make the ideas behind this sense of life explicit, okay? And we need to be able to teach them to the next generations as well, something that becomes more and more of a challenge with the type of education that is in our government schools, which do have a monopoly, right? So I think that's the big challenge. Let me give you just a couple ideas. How am I doing on time, by the way? Because I'm okay. I just want to talk about a couple ideas, because one of the topics that I got to address in this book is racism. Why racism is un-American. And I don't know that I need to belabor it for this audience. One observation that I'll make, but I'll give you the essence. Racism is un-American because it involves judging people according to characteristics over which they have no voluntary control, and also it's a characteristic, race, skin color, that is completely irrelevant to a person's productivity, intelligence, entrepreneurship, talent, good character, etc. In America, we judge people as individuals, and we reward them according to their good attributes. And race, skin color, is just a completely irrelevant characteristic. So it's un-American. One thing that is interesting, and you might say, okay, well, this is a little bit good. Discourse out there on Twitter is horrible. Who's on Twitter? It's terrible. One of the things that everyone has talked about is that the accusation of someone being racist just comes out right away. Why do you think it is? It's because they know it is a bad thing. It's a very un-American thing to be racist. Now, I think the accusation is thrown out too lightly and stuff, but the fact that they chose it shows you. But suppose you have this racist attitude that you're going to judge people according to race. How would that sort of interplay with the attitudes, the list of attitudes that I read to you guys? So for example, in particular, I said that Rand observed in Europe, they were still wedded to sort of a class system or a caste system. Racism is still a creature, a leftover from that you say the skin color that someone is born with is going to limit what that person can do with life. Here, let me show you some statistics, QED. And it's completely wrong. There is no cause and effect relationship. And again, what does the American say? The American says, if I'm there and I have the ability to see a solution to a problem at my place of work or somewhere out in the world, something, I am going to take the initiative. Jonathan's going to take the initiative and make this book, right? You're not going to say, Jonathan's not going to say, hey, I didn't get a philosophy PhD. What about, this is about philosophy. What about, no, you say, this problem needs to be solved. I'm going to do it. And that's what we as Americans do. So racism is going to interfere with that. Racism, of course, is you've seen Americans as independent entities. Are you going to see yourself as an independent entity, or are you going to see yourself as a member of your race, and then start viewing everybody as some sort of a intergroup warfare dynamic? Is there some sort of original sin conception as well? So you can see how some of these attitudes are going to interfere. Property rights. I talked about property rights in this book, and I heavily